The rain poured down in heavy sheets as the old car sputtered to a stop at the edge of the street. Inside, a young girl sat quietly, her wheelchair folded beside her, eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. She was the daughter of a billionaire, used to a life of luxury, but today, she was trapped in a world she couldn't navigate alone. On the other side of the street, a poor mechanic wiped his hands on a rag, noticing the helpless girl struggling to get through the puddles. Most people would have walked past without a second thought, but something about her vulnerability stirred him. Her mother, watching from a distance, felt a knot in her stomach tighten. She had tried everything: expensive gadgets, top specialists, but nothing had worked. And now, standing in the middle of the rain, she felt both helpless and desperate. The mechanic stepped forward, offering a simple hand, yet no one could have predicted what would happen next. Could this humble man really change the course of her life? Or was it just another fleeting moment of hope? Tears welled up in her mother's eyes as she watched, unsure if she should believe in a miracle. The mechanic's hands were rough and stained with grease, but there was a kindness in his eyes that made the girl glance up, hesitant but curious. He knelt beside her wheelchair, carefully examining the small device her mother had bought to help her move. It was expensive, state-of-the-art, but it had never worked the way it promised. The girl's mother had spent countless sleepless nights, worrying that no one could ever make her daughter truly independent. The mechanic spoke softly, asking simple questions, trying to understand her needs. He didn't offer big promises or fancy gadgets, just patience and attention. As he fiddled with the device, adjusting tiny parts and testing small mechanisms, the girl's eyes lit up for the first time that day. It was as if someone finally saw her, not as a rich man's daughter or a child defined by her disability, but as a person with hopes and dreams. Her mother held her breath, her heart pounding in disbelief. Could this poor mechanic, with nothing but his skill and determination, really make a difference where money had failed? The tension hung in the air, like the storm clouds above, leaving everyone wondering what would happen when the device finally moved, and could it truly change their lives forever? The mechanic worked in silence for a few moments, his hands moving deftly over wires and screws, but inside, he felt a storm of doubt. He had helped people before, fixed broken cars and old machines, but this was different. This little girl wasn't just a machine to repair, she was fragile, scared, and her mother's eyes carried the weight of years of disappointment. Every small adjustment could either bring hope or crush it completely. Meanwhile, the girl's mother paced back and forth, her mind racing. She had always believed that money could solve everything, but seeing this poor mechanic's careful, patient work made her question all the expensive treatments she had invested in. Could it be that the answer had been so simple all along, someone who cared enough to truly try? The girl shifted nervously, watching every move, her tiny hands trembling with anticipation. She wanted to trust him but feared being let down again. Even the sound of the rain tapping against the metal roof felt louder, echoing the tension in the room. Unknown to all of them, someone was watching from the shadows, a figure connected to the family. Someone who didn't approve of this mechanic's involvement. Their intentions were unclear, but their presence added a dangerous edge. Would this stranger intervene before the miracle even began? Or was this the very test that would decide everything? The mechanic took a deep breath, wiping the sweat and rain from his brow as he made the final adjustments. Every small movement of his hands felt heavier than usual, as if the weight of the girl's hopes rested on them. The little girl's mother clutched her coat tightly, her knuckles white, watching each motion with a mix of fear and longing. This wasn't just about a broken device, anymore it was about a chance at freedom, a glimpse of independence she had only dreamed of. The girl leaned forward slightly, eyes wide, feeling the tension in the air. Her heartbeat seemed to echo the patter of rain outside, each beat louder than the last. She wanted to believe, but the fear of disappointment lingered, gnawing at her courage. From the corner of the garage, the shadowy figure stepped closer, their expression hard, their intentions still unknown. They whispered something under their breath, but the mechanic didn't notice. He was entirely focused on the girl, adjusting the final wires and testing the mechanisms. Suddenly, a small spark flickered from the device, making the girl gasp and her mother's eyes fill with tears. The moment hung suspended, fragile as glass, as if the whole world had stopped. Could this poor mechanic's careful hands truly deliver a miracle? Or was everything about to crumble before it even began? Just as the device began to hum softly, signaling life, a loud crash echoed from the doorway. The shadowy figure lunged forward, knocking over a toolbox, scattering wrenches and bolts across the wet floor. The girl screamed, gripping her mother's hand tightly, while the mechanic instinctively shielded her, his heart racing. The sudden intrusion shattered the fragile calm, replacing hope with chaos. The figure's eyes flashed with anger. "You don't belong here," they spat, their voice dripping with authority and resentment. It became clear they weren't just an observer, they had a personal stake in stopping this miracle. The mechanic's jaw tightened, but he didn't back down. He had come too far, and he knew the girl's life could change in an instant if he stayed focused. The girl, terrified yet curious, watched the confrontation unfold. Her mother stepped forward, her voice shaking but firm. "Enough. This isn't just about rules or pride, this is about my daughter." Her words hung in the air, challenging the intruder, but also highlighting how fragile this moment had become. With every passing second, tension surged. The device vibrated slightly, a promise of what could happen, while the intruder edged closer, threatening to undo all the mechanic's careful work. The room felt like it was holding its breath, teetering on the edge between disaster and the miracle they had been waiting for. The intruder froze as the device suddenly whirred to life, its wheels spinning smoothly for the first time. The girl gasped, feeling the gentle motion beneath her, and slowly, with wide-eyed wonder, she began to move on her own. Tears streamed down her mother's face as she reached out, her hands trembling, overwhelmed by a mix of relief and disbelief. The mechanic stepped back, exhausted but smiling, knowing that all his effort had paid off. For a moment, it seemed as if the storm outside had mirrored the turmoil inside, the tension, the fear, the uncertainty all dissolving into a single heartbeat of triumph. The intruder's anger faltered, replaced by shock. How is this possible? They whispered, unable to comprehend that a poor mechanic had accomplished what money and specialists could not. But just as the family began to celebrate, a soft beep came from the device, and a small compartment popped open. Inside was a folded letter, sealed with the family crest. The mechanic and the girl's mother exchanged puzzled glances. The letter revealed a secret. The billionaire had once promised the girl's independence to someone else long ago, a promise that now put everyone's future in jeopardy. The girl paused, gripping the device tightly, unsure what this new revelation meant. The moment of joy was real, but the shadow of uncertainty lingered, an unexpected twist that promised more challenges ahead. The girl looked down at the letter, her fingers trembling, but then she felt the steady support of the mechanic's hands on hers. "We'll face it together," he said softly, and in that moment, her fear began to fade. Her mother wrapped her arms around her, tears streaming freely, grateful not just for the miracle of her daughter's movement, but for the kindness and courage that had made it possible. The intruder, still stunned, slowly backed away. Realizing that no amount of wealth or control could replace genuine care and skill, they left silently, leaving the family to savor the moment they had fought so hard to reach. The garage, once a place of tension and uncertainty, now felt warm, filled with laughter, and the sound of the girl exploring her new freedom. In the following days, the family embraced a new routine. The girl grew more confident, moving independently with a device that had once seemed impossible. Her mother learned that sometimes the greatest solutions come not from money or status, but from compassion and persistence. The mechanic returned to his humble shop, but his heart was full, knowing he had truly changed a life. And for the girl, every step she took was a reminder that miracles could come from the most unexpected places. The story ended not with riches or fame, but with hope, love, and the power of human kindness.